This weekend, I had the pleasure of running the Santa Monica 10K, which is one of three races that I have to complete for the Conquer LA Challenge, which includes this 10K, a half marathon in January, and then also the LA Marathon in March. This course features uh, it's a 6.2 mile course, and and it's mainly street street racing, and there's a turnaround at about mile 4. The the route is somewhat flat with a small uphill in the beginning, but after the 4 mile turnaround, it it uh it starts to go downhill from there, and it makes this race very easy to run, as there isn't too many inclines. I posted the results here. I I finished at 47:09 on the chip time, and that is about almost 2 minutes faster than my 2018 time that I posted last week. Uh, I felt very good uh, for the race, and had a lot of uh, preparations, and I had lots of runs under my belt, given that the last race was 4 years ago. I learned a lot of things, and I was pretty comfortable that I was going to beat my previous time. So I ended up coming in at a pace of 7:36. So towards the 4 mile turnaround, I I started picking up the pace, and I really wasn't sure at the 5 mile mark if the speed that I was going at was sustainable. And these thoughts uh, kept running through my head, and I really tried to figure out um, if I should slow down so I can have enough energy to finish the race. Because the last thing I would want to happen is that I would have to run slower towards the tail end of the race. So I I did uh, I did hold my pace at around 5 minute mark for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes, and once I saw the finish line, I knew that I had enough energy to complete the race. And yeah, the race went really well. They have a little festival thing at the pier where where the finishers can get their T-shirts and take photos. Also, there's a lots of refreshments to to get your energy, because at the finish line they only had water and some electrolyte drinks. So there wasn't any really food, and all the food was mainly at the pier. One thing I've been noticing is that I have to figure out the right balance between running and lifting weights. I find that if I lift too heavy, it it really tears my muscles and gets my muscles sore to that point where I don't feel like running, or I don't have the motivation to go running. And I find myself going back and forth, like, do you want to have the energy to run, or do you want to uh, improve in your lifts? And obviously uh, I want to do everything. I want to improve in my lifts, and I also want to run, have a faster jogging pace. And I think pushing pushing myself to, I would say, 80% to 85% of my maximum limit. I think for me, that's really the sweet spot of optimal performance. And I think anything past that will just lead to overall fatigue, and you're likely to burn out. I'm not saying that you always have to push at 80%. I would say that for optimal improvement, I feel that 80 to 85% of what you can handle is very important. So I'm not, and also, like, there's some days where I'm not at 80%, and that's perfectly fine. And sometimes I'll push to 60%, sometimes 50, and even though I I have those days, it doesn't mean that I've given up. It's just that I've learned to keep a balance in my life. I learned to prioritize certain things, and having having this sort of seesaw effect where you don't want to push too hard, because once you push too hard, um, the repercussions of pushing too hard will hit back at you just as hard. And I always kind of have that in my thought process, that I do want to push as much as I can, test my limits, but I also want to be sustainable in this journey. I want to make sure that I can do this for years to come. I want to prolong any sort of injury that may come my way. And I think injury prevention is the most important aspect to training. There's always, I always see these videos of basketball players or tennis players or any type of sport. Uh, they do, they always film these exercises that have no relation to the sport they're playing. And it makes sense, because they're doing these exercises to prevent any future injuries, or to help strengthen some part of the muscle that is under heavy load while performing. And I think finding all these types of exercises that help injury prevention is very important, and in overall success. It would be very foolish to continue down the path of whatever hobby you have and not learn about injury prevention techniques. My workouts have been about an hour long each day, and I'll typically run for anywhere between 35 minutes to 55 minutes, which nets me about 3 to 6 miles. And it's really playing by ear each day, how I feel, uh, whether I got the good amount of sleep, whether or not I had uh, was fueling enough, either with food and water. And it really does speak volumes on how much I think about everything else but training, like all the other external factors. Um, Looking back, when I first started, I I've only focused on the weights and moving the most amount of weight around, and didn't even consider about all these other external factors. And I think the reason why I never did that is because I wasn't ever passionate about it. I wasn't ever wanting to learn more about my body, about how how to prolong my life, um, how to make myself, how to improve myself. Um, I think I think this journey really taught me to be appreciative of what I have, and I'm I'm grateful for this balance in my life, the balance that I can have this outlet to uh, see my capabilities, to push my limits, to challenge myself, and I think that's why I signed up for races, even though I told myself I was done after the 2019 one. Uh, I told my wife that I would never do another marathon after the 2019 LA marathon, and here we are on this journey to hopefully uh, get a personal best, and so I'm happy about that. There will be challenges, and I'm ready for each and every one of them. And I will balance everything to the best of my abilities and learn from there. That's it for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one.